I said salute to the untouchable True School Sports Empire.
That's
Taking
right, the
over
untouchable.
not only the South Florida boxing scene, but the worldwide boxing scene.
Well, it's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, I know for a fact, because I've been sitting back, I've been watching, I've been listening, I've been observing everybody, and when I say everybody, I mean everybody in the YouTube boxing community's reaction to this whole Terence Crawford, BLK Prime, David Avanesyan situation. I've listened to every channel you can think of, even the ones I can't stand on the LDBC. You know, all of them, even the ones I don't care about, even the ones I like. Everybody. So I know for a fact this whole Terence Crawford, David Avanesyan, BLK Prime situation has everybody pissed off, because obviously the fight that a lot of people wanted to see was Crawford versus Spence. Me personally, I find this amusing. I don't really care about the fight. I haven't cared about it. I've been telling you guys since June. I mentally checked out back in June, so I'm okay. I'm good. To me, it's comedy at this point, you know. And it's unfortunate that the fight's not happening, because back in June, I referred to Crawford and Spence as the two divas, and it's sad to say that I was right, because that's what they're acting like. Both of them are divas, all right. And I really wish, because I can't hope, because I know it's not gonna happen, but I really do wish that all the governing bodies would strip these two of all their titles, because the reality is they're both holding up the welterweight division, and they're doing more harm to the sport of boxing than they are good. Let that be known. I don't care if you're a Crawford fan. I don't care if you're a Spence fan. Who cares? The reality is, no matter what your little feelings say about it, they're both bad for boxing at this point. They are, because Jaron, Ennis, and Vergil Ortiz are both ready to fight for world titles right now. And these two are delaying them from their shot at glory. What about them and their shot at glory? What about Ennis, who came from Lithuania, who's been grinding his way slowly but surely, being good opposition, who worked his way into WBA mandatory? Like, how come these guys aren't being considered in the grand scheme of things, you know? But anyway, I digress. Let's get into it. Terence Crawford signed a one-fight deal, a deal to fight David Avanesyan, who right now at this juncture in time is the number 6 WBO contender. Vergil Ortiz is the number 1 ranked contender in the WBO. Jaron Ennis is the number 2 ranked contender in the WBO, and David Avanesyan is number 6 ranked contender in the WBO. So Crawford won't fight Vergil Ortiz, okay, nor Jaron Ennis, who are number 1, number 2. He won't even fight Keith Thurman, who's number 3. But he's gonna fight the guy who's number 6 in David Avanesyan, the same David Avanesyan who was scheduled to fight Vergil Ortiz in a WBO final eliminator this past August 6th and pulled out the fight, who wouldn't even return the contract back to Vergil Ortiz. The same David Avanesyan who was ordered to fight Vergil Ortiz as early as November of last year. That's who Crawford's fighting. So Terence Crawford has took a big dump all over the ranking system. He's being really petty with Errol Spence, which I don't blame him, because PBC and him and Al Heyman have played a lot of games. I get why he's doing what he's doing, and supposedly he's gonna get a lot of money to do it. But I can't be biased. Even though I like Crawford, he's one of my favorite fighters. He needs to be stripped. He needs to be stripped, and Spence needs to be stripped, because it's not fair to Jaron Ennis, and it's not fair to Vergil Ortiz, who have been grinding patiently. I mean, think about it, right? I want y'all to really think. Forget me being a quote-unquote hater, because I know I'm gonna get those comments in the comment section. Forget all that. Do you guys think it is fair for a guy like David Avanesyan, who I like, by the way? I've wanted to see David Avanesyan get an opportunity against, you know, the Conor Benns of the world, and guys who are more like the top of the European level, or like maybe fringe world level. But he pulled out of a final eliminator, the fight that was gonna get him a car fight. And he's essentially being rewarded a world title shot for pulling out of a world title eliminator. So Paco Valcarcel, the WBO, and all parties involved, they need to do what is right, fair, and just, and they need to not allow this to happen. Because now what you're doing is you're enabling Terence Crawford. You're enabling the fuckery that he has going on right now. Because that's what this is. I like Terence Crawford. I think it's funny though. I mean, I think the reactions from like the YouTube boxing community have been pretty hilarious. Because I mean, I checked out of this fight back in June, And I thought back then that these guys were divas, and they're both acting like it. They're not thinking about the greater good of their legacies, their careers, and the sport of boxing. They're just thinking about, their own egos and massaging their own egos. So they'll end up like Riddick Bowe and Lennox Lewis, except neither one of them will ever be as great as Riddick Bowe or Lennox Lewis, and that's the fact. But yeah, he needs to be stripped. Now that he's not fighting Spence, I know that Jaron Ennis has petitioned with the IBF to fight Errol Spence Jr., and he is trying to invoke his mandatory position. But he's a mandatory challenger. So if Errol Spence don't fight Jaron Ennis next, then I feel like he needs to be stripped as well, because truthfully, he should have already been. Errol Spence should have already been stripped a while ago by the IBF, because he didn't fight the number one contender, Kujatilo Abdulkakarov, when he was number one all those years. Cody Crowley beat Abdulkakarov just last year. He hasn't fought him. Now Boots is the mandatory challenger. So, he hasn't made a mandatory defense since, I believe, Carlos Ocampo with the IBF. That was back in 2018. So he should have been stripped already. And I feel like if we're not going to get Crawford Spence, then, if he's going to stay at 147, then Spence needs to give the boxing fans the next best thing, which I think is fighting a really exciting mandatory challenger in Jaron Ennis. So I think they're both wrong. I'm a Terence Crawford fan, and I do have my opinions about some of the games and the fuckery that Al Heyman and him have played over the years for us to even get to this point. Because in my opinion, I think it's their fault that we're even in this position in the first place. But at this juncture in time, now that things have happened with Crawford doing this whole thing with Avanesyan, he's wrong now. Now I really think Terence Crawford is wrong, because it'd be one thing if you weren't fighting Spence. I personally don't care about that. But now you're screwing with guys like Vergil, Ortiz, and Jaron Ennis, where I have a problem, because all these two have done, all Boots and all Vergil have done, is beat everybody put in front of them, work their way up the ranking system, look sensational doing it, all to have their career halted and stymied by, and I hate to say it, but it's the truth, these two divas, because that's what they're acting like. And I can't wait for both of them to retire and get up out the sport, honestly. I really can't, because ever since these two have been handed the reins of becoming the guys at welterweight, this division has went to complete shit. And truth be told, I think Terence Crawford is a better fighter than Errol Spence, but if you want to be objective about everything, neither one of them has really separated themselves as the best welterweight in the world. Errol Spence and Terence Crawford have not beaten anybody different apart from, Ugas and Jeff Horn. So, they both beaten Sean Porter. They both beaten, what's his name? Sean Porter. They both beat, I'm blanking out right now. But they have a couple of common opponents. Neither one of them fought Keith Thurman. Neither one of them fought Manny Pacquiao. And those are two of the most prominent names of their era. So neither one of them really separated themselves. Neither one of them wants to fight each other. Neither one of them wants to honor the ranking system. Neither one of them wants to fight the mandatories. And the governing bodies, and again, this is really like a message to the WBO, really, because at this point I can't get mad at Crawford. He's trying to look out for himself and finesse the last little bit of money he can get at the end of his career. So respect to him. Errol Spence, I don't know what he's doing. He's twiddling his thumbs. He's not doing much, but he needs to fight Jaron Ennis. If he don't, then he needs to drop the IBF belt. And he was complaining. Errol Spence was complaining on Twitter about, I can't make the weight. It's getting hard. This, that, and the third. But you was just saying the Ugas fight week. You were saying during Ugas fight week, I made the weight easy. I should have got a nutritionist earlier in my career. So which one is it? Someone reach out to Errol Spence and ask him for me. Which one is it? Can you make the weight like you were saying against Ugas, or are you blowing smoke up our ass? Or now can you not make the weight because now you might have to fight Jaron Ennis, or you might, I don't know. I need some clarity, man, because he sounds a bit confused, and I'm a man of clarity. So, please, Earl, tell the truth about what you're doing. But yeah, at this point, it's crazy how you can cover a potential fight for so long, and you may start off with one viewpoint, and then you have another viewpoint, and then as time goes on, you just arrive back to your original viewpoint. So, for example, I called Terence Crawford and Errol Spence back in June the two divas, because that's what they were, and that's what they were acting like. Then I was like, okay, well, BT, that's a little harsh. You got to have respect for the fighters, which I do. I think they're both great fighters, but I'm not talking about them as fighters. I'm talking about them negotiating outside the ring. They're both acting like divas. You know, this is like a Riddick Bowe, Lennox Lewis situation, except the fight's not anywhere close to as big as Riddick Bowe versus Lennox Lewis, and neither one of these guys are half as good as Riddick Bowe or Lennox Lewis. So it is what it is. But that being said, you know, I humbled myself, and then I was privy to some information about what was going on with the fight. So then I was okay. Well, BT, you know, you can't be like that. You know, think about the boxing fans. Think about like the people who watch your channel. You know, let's try to do what we can on our little platform to try to make this fight happen, right? So I was like, okay, I want the fight to happen. I think Terence beats Spence, whatever. But then now we get this bullshit, and I'm back to my original opinion about this fight, which is the two divas. I'm now going back to referring to Crawford and Spence as the two divas, because that's what they are, that's what they're acting like, and they're both destroying the welterweight division. So, yeah, that's what it is. Terence Crawford doesn't want to fight Vergil Ortiz. He's ducking the smoke from Vergil Ortiz. Errol Spence has been ducking the smoke from anybody who's been number one ranked in the IBF for about 4 years now. And Daryl Peoples, I'm really looking at Daryl Peoples and Paco Valcarcel the most right now. And for those of you who don't know who Daryl Peoples and Paco Valcarcel is, Daryl Peoples is the leader and the president of the IBF. Paco Valcarcel is the leader and the president of the WBO. These are the guys that are in the power positions to make the decisions to, you know, make mandatory, strip fighters, that type of thing. So, you know, if they really care about the integrity of the sport, which I'm sure they don't, because for them, this is a business, and Crawford Spence for them is not about the integrity of boxing. It is a business opportunity. So I get all that, but I'm not here for that. I'm here on behalf of boxing fans. I'm here for, on behalf of my interest as a boxing fan, to see the best fights. And if the quote unquote best fights can't happen, then I want the next best thing. And I think the next best thing would be either one of Crawford and Spence fighting either one of Boots and Vergil. And that's what it is. So yeah, strip them both. Get them out of here. Fuck this fight, and let the two divas move with their careers as they see fit. If the two divas want to fight each other in a very hyped up non-title fight, then God bless them. I hope they get paid well for it, and that's what it is. But it's just been bullshit on both sides. It's been bullshit from Spence with all these roadblocks, get a belt, cross the street, you know, all these things. Still can't make the fight. Then, you know, Terence is over here pretty much not honoring the ranking system, fighting the number 6 guy, but the Crawford fanboys don't care about it, because the Crawford fanboys want to be like, oh, well, you know, Earl did this and Earl did that. Okay, well, what does Vergil and Boots got to do with Earl? Go fight Vergil or Boots. Why are you fighting Avanesyan? Nobody, like I like David Avanesyan. I've covered his career. I think he's been done wrong by Eddie Hearn into politics. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy for Avanesyan. Really, he's really the biggest winner in all of this, because he has nothing to lose. There's nobody thinks he's going to beat Crawford. He's going to get a good payday. He's getting a chance to, you know, really mess up the division. So truth be told, you know, whoever Earl fights next and whoever Bud fights next, I hope both Earl and Bud both get knocked out. How about that? How about we get the Jaron Ennis David Avanesyan fight for undisputed? That's what I would like, because these two guys have all the power in the world to make something great happen in the sport of boxing, and they don't know what to do with their power. They don't know how to, as men, come together. And I find, you know what, I'm gonna end it on this. Right? Actually, no, you know what? No, forget about it. I'm not gonna go there, because y'all not ready to have that conversation. So I'm gonna keep that one to myself. But that's the news. Those are my thoughts. I digress. Terence Crawford, Earl Spence Jr., two great fighters. You know, one's definitely going in the Hall of Fame in Crawford. The other one in Spence, you know, jury's still out. He ain't going in the Hall of Fame though right now. He needs to do a little bit more. If he can't make the weight, then stop being a weight bully. Stop being the Dave Benavidez Jr. 147. Go to 54 and go fight your brother Jamel Charlo, or tell your brother Jamel Charlo to go vacate so you feel comfortable fighting 154. Do whatever you got to do, but stop. Just stop with this fight. Stop it. This fight, I said it back in June. I was a little optimistic about it over the last couple months, but I said it back in June quite a few times in April as well. This fight is not even between the number 1 and number 2 welterweight anymore, because they've waited so long to the point to where it's like, how could you say this is number 1 versus number 2? You know, how could you say it's even number 1? How, like I can't even rank Crawford or Spence, because They barely fight. They barely fight anymore. And you know, at this point, I'm just like, look, man, to hell with both of them, and both their fan bases. If you're a Crawford fan who has a problem with what I'm saying, you know, go to, you know, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to say go to hell, but you know, I don't really care how you feel, because this is about what's good for the sport of boxing, and it's not fair to these fighters like Styonus, Vergil, Boots, who are doing the right thing. And these guys, you know, want to hold the whole division, and they're old anyway. Crawford's about to be put in the AARP home. He's almost 36. Spence is like 32, 33, but you know, with all the, you know, problems he's had outside the ring, we know what those are. He's probably like 36 himself, you know, physically speaking. So it's not like these guys are young. But yeah, I've been rambling long enough. You guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. What do you think? Do you guys think, is there anybody out there with sense, with sanity, clarity, and reasoning that thinks that these guys should be stripped because they're not doing anything? All we're getting is tweets and reports and back and forth, and I'm not here for that. See, look, I don't know about you guys on these other channels. You know, I think some of these other channels, they're just in it. They're just here just for the money, and they don't really care about the sport, and they don't mind being the TMZ of boxing. I'm not here for that. See, I'm here for the fights. I'm here to see who's the best. I'm here to see, you know, the best fighters in the world duke it out as many times as possible. You know, I understand the business side of boxing, but not at the expense of other fighters who are deserving of their opportunity. And there's like about a solid 3 to 4 fighters in the welterweight division deserving of title shots right now. Whether it be Boots, whether it be Vergil Ortiz, whether it be Styonus, whether it be Cody Crowley. These guys have all been doing their thing, so let them get their opportunity. The world and the world of boxing is much bigger than Crawford and Spence. And the world of boxing will continue to go along without Crawford and Spence. And in fact, I think the world of boxing would be much better off without Crawford and Spence, because, like I said, these guys don't fight that often. And the fight that people want to see and have wanted to see for years, they can't make it happen. Whether it's Crawford's demands or Earl's, you know, moving the goalposts, you know, they're both at fault. And I think that's a stance I'm going to stick with. You know, so yeah, let the two divas do what they got to do, but let the sport of boxing move forward.
Just like Mayweather's uncles would say, a lot of people don't know shit about boxing. You know, you do. You've done it.
Thank you.
You about the only smart guy that I know, bro. Nobody knows shit about boxing.
I appreciate it, man.
I want to say, man, make sure to follow True School Sports, always covering boxing at the highest level, man, and make sure to subscribe to his YouTube channel. Follow him on Instagram at Just a Kid from Danny as well.
He the plug.